Hello, everybody. My name is Austin Carr. Welcome to another episode of the Greenlink Podcast. Today, we're going to do something a little different, and I think what we're going to do is just talk a little bit about some of the projects that we've been working on at Greenlink. We've got lots of interesting things going on. It's very exciting right now with the different incentives and policies that are changing. The Inflation Reduction Act, which is starting to funnel through and help further drive and incentivize the energy efficiency and renewable energy movement. And so, as you may or may not know, Greenlink has three divisions. We have our Greenlink Community Solutions, which is our envelope and our weatherization division. That's really the roots of Greenlink. That's where we started. We've been in business for 12 years or so now, which is time has just flown. But we've really done a lot in that field and industry with energy audits and insulation, really helping people tremendously on that side. We also have our solar division, of course, where we're doing solar and battery backups and all kinds of EV chargers, a lot of really exciting things there. And then our third and final division, which we've recently added, which is our mechanical side. And this has been particularly fascinating for me. My family roots on my dad's side, my grandparents were all HVAC and refrigeration contractors. And, I would be, I guess, third generation in the HVAC world, and so it's really exciting to have that as our third and final piece of the Greenlink offering. And when I think back to when I started Greenlink, again, I started in the weatherization and the envelope side. I had been working for a company here in town that had the Illinois Weatherization Assistance Program contract as the the contractor that was fulfilling and building out those projects. Fresh out of the military, I'd been out a few months, whatever it was, started working for these guys, and we would go into folks' homes and we would do blower door tests, which was the very first time I saw that. For those that aren't familiar, a blower door test is a way to measure the air leakage within a space or a home. And so you can actually quantify the air leakage pre and post work. And that's how we make sure that we're doing a good job for our customers. And so when I look at this, I mean, we've just evolved so much and really looped in and connected with a lot of the different utility and state-funded programs. And so I thought, I'm going to just talk about some of these jobs just so people get a feel of some of the things that are happening in the energy efficiency space, because it's just a really awesome time, a lot of great opportunity. And frankly, I don't think that there is as much awareness about the opportunity that is out there. And so I'm just going to talk about some of the programs and what this looks like as a project for the homeowners or the tenants in these different locations. And so one of the things I look at right out of the gate here is the Retrofit program. This is a ComEd and NICOR funded program here, the Energy Retrofit program. And what this does is for income eligible folks, if you qualify and you live in a home as a tenant or a homeowner, you have the opportunity to qualify for this program, in which case the utility companies would contract with us or hire us to come in, and we will do a comprehensive energy audit of your home. We'll run the blower door tests. We'll do the infrared inspections. We're going to look in the attics to see what the ventilation looks like to make sure that there's no health and safety issues, such as open wiring or mold or moisture buildup. We're going to check out the bath fans to make sure, again, they're getting vented out of the roof space. And then we're going to look at the air sealing in the attic as well. It's a big thing, and it's typically underrated and not focused on as much as it should be in the insulation world. And so what's happening in our homes when even if you have decent insulation in your attic, but you don't have a good air barrier, what happens in the wintertime is that warm air is rising, as we know, and it's pushing through and escaping through the light fixtures, through the plumbing vents and the junction boxes and the top plates of the wall assemblies. And it's creating a positive pressure, and it continues to force that air up out of the home. And that creates two problems. A, it puts the lower level of your home under a negative air pressure, which starts to create a cyclical problem, right? Because you're pushing it up and out, and then you're pulling it in, which is then heating up and pushing up and out. And it becomes this cycle that really causes a lot of problems. It makes people feel drafts in their homes. Another big issue is when that warm, moist air is pushing up into the attic space and it's cold up there in the wintertime, you're really susceptible to moisture issues and condensation, and you'll start to rot out roof decking, and you'll create mold issues, all kinds of bad things. So moisture in our homes in most cases is the enemy, unless it's controlled moisture, and you're really monitoring it, making sure it's not too high or too low. And so, again, through these retrofit projects, we're looking at that. We're looking at the attic. Then we're moving down into the other areas of the home, and we're looking at the windows and the outlets, seeing what kind of air leakage we have there. And we're going to be air sealing the home, tightening things up, moving into the basement. We're going to look at the mechanicals to make sure that again, health and safety for the furnace, that it's drafting properly, that the water heater's drafting properly. It is shocking to me. In fact, I was talking to Jaron, our HVAC technician, earlier this week, and I said, it just blows my mind, the amount of homes that we come across that have drafting issues. And that's a serious problem. When you've got CO spilling into your home, that is a major health and safety concern. And so that's something that we look at when we go into these projects, and any project that we do. In fact, on our weatherization side, we're going to do some readings and some measurements pre and post work to make sure that home is going to be safe after we complete our scope of work out there to tighten it up and increase the insulation and the energy efficiency. And then, again, in the basement, there's a couple other things we're going to look at, which is like the rim joists and the sill plates, to make sure that we don't have a ton of air infiltration there. We would use spray foam or foam board to seal that up. And typically on a project like that, you would see, an investment put into that home at zero cost for the homeowner, somewhere between $7,000 to $12,000. And so it's a really great opportunity. And, we want to help spread the word here, particularly in our community here in Rockford, but then again, all through the NICOR and ComEd service territories. You are eligible potentially for that program. And so you can check that out on their websites. The ComEd NICOR Energy Retrofit Program is what you'd want to check out there. Some other really cool projects we've been working on. This one has been really exciting out in DeKalb, DeKalb University Village. We've been able to offer and connect with them through these programs to do some insulation and weatherization upgrades for them on a number of buildings out there. I believe it's 30 buildings or so on this campus, all multifamily, all generally low-income folks. And, we talk about energy equity and the cost of energy for low-income folks. That's one of the real drivers behind a lot of these programs and incentives. I was at a seminar recently, and we're having a conversation about, somebody that's low income that maybe only makes, we'll say, $2,000 a month, and they've got a utility bill that's $200 a month. That is a significant percentage of their income, as opposed to somebody else that's maybe higher income and they're making, $10,000 a month. That $200 is not as big a deal for them on a percentage basis. But again, when we look at the low income communities and these really high utility costs, it's a big deal and it's a problem. And so ComEd, NICOR, the state, the federal government, everybody's pushing towards energy efficiency and really putting a lot of attention and focus into energy eligible communities and low income communities throughout the area to help improve the resiliency and energy efficiency there. And so again, on this DeKalb University Village project, we're going to be going through doing a number of health and safety upgrades on the property. Some of those are going to look like ventilation. We're doing additional ridge venting. We're adding soffit vents. We're making sure the bath fans are vented out. These are all common things that you want to see on every single attic. You got to make sure you've got the ventilation. Super important. Beyond that, though, we're moving through there and we're installing soffit baffles, again, to make sure that we establish that intake ventilation. And then we're going through and we're air sealing all the attic floors, where we're going around with great stuff and fire foam to seal up the different gaps and penetrations where that air could push up into the attic, or vice versa, could also push down into the living space. And so we want to seal that off entirely. And then last but not least, we add an additional amount of insulation depending on what's needed, but ultimately looking to achieve R49, which is about 16 inches of blown-in cellulose. And when we add all those things together and perform those services, we will see immediate impacts for those tenants and those units, where they're going to have lower utility costs, they're going to be much more comfortable, and they're going to have a healthier space. Any kind of communication and connection between a dirty, nasty attic and our living space is not what we want to see. And so there are health impacts as well, or indoor air quality improvements that you would expect from these different weatherization projects. Looking a little further into some of our weatherization work that we've been doing, we've also got some solar and some 360 customers that also choose to couple, weatherization with their solar. And I think that's one of the really huge and unique advantages that Greenlink has, and that we can provide to our customers, is that when they're looking to go solar, and you may have heard us talk about this on other episodes, maybe they're able to get an 80% energy offset because of the size of their roof doesn't allow for additional panels. And so a conversation that we're going to want to have as often and as frequently as possible is to say, let's not just hyper focus on creating additional energy that we might not be using wisely. Let's consider how we're using that energy as well. An example or an analogy that I like to give all the time is if you're driving your car and you say, hey, I want to be able to drive my car further, the first answer typically isn't, hey, let's hook on a trailer that's got a fuel storage tank attached to it so that I can drive further and I can stop and pump in fuel into my vehicle. Although maybe that's a reasonable option, but why would you not first consider, can I improve the miles per gallon of this vehicle and then look to add an additional fuel source? And it's a really similar approach to our homes. Let's look to see, can we make this home more efficient, more comfortable, increase the indoor air quality, and then add that renewable energy piece on. And then at that point, you're getting the best of all the worlds and the most bang for your buck and the highest return on investment. And so on these 360 projects, what we call them, again, when we're adding on the solar and somebody says, hey, we want to do some weatherization work as well, I like to call it the ABCs of energy efficiency. So first, we're going to look at the attic. That's always primarily going to be the largest area of opportunity. And we're going to want to make sure that that attic is ventilated well. We're going to want to make sure that it's air sealed well. And then we're going to want to make sure that it's insulated well. And so if we can do those three things on the attic, that's going to put you already in a significantly improved category. And you've also probably heard me talk about this before as well, where the age of your home is not necessarily the sole determining factor about how efficient your home is. Just because it's a newer home does not mean that it's energy efficient. It means that it was built to recent energy codes and typically to the very minimum threshold of whatever energy code cycle your municipality or AHJ is enforcing. That does not mean you're going to have an ultra efficient home by any means. And it's not uncommon that we would go into a home that's 2, 3, 4, 5 years old and make these improvements because it's just not a common practice in the new construction world. And so again, serving our retail customers through our 360 process and being able to look at the home as a system is something that I'm not aware of any other companies that are certainly in our area. And even regionally, I don't know of companies that offer that holistic approach where they can educate a customer on the renewable energy, on the weatherization, and on the mechanical, and not only just those three pieces as a silo, but looking at them and how they interact together and how you would design taking all three of those things into consideration for the maximum performance of a product or finished product for a customer. And so, again, looking at our weatherization side of the company, a lot of really exciting things going on there, being able to serve multifamilies, retrofit customers, and talking about some of our more retail-type customers as well, which through the retail route, there are incentives as well. There are tax credits, there are utility rebates as well. And so there's something for everybody is really kind of the main message that I want to share. And, I'm going to jump over here now and look a little bit into our solar side. So at this time of the year here, getting into the middle of 2024, our solar division is just absolutely ramping up and kind of going gangbusters here. There's a lot happening. We've got a lot of sales coming in. We've got a lot of projects being built from commercial, light commercial, residential, agricultural. There's a lot happening. I think one of the things that's really driving this is the change that's going to happen here at the end of 2024, where the net metering, what I call 1.0, is on the way out the door, and we'll be moving over to net metering 2.0. And anybody that's installed before the end of the year and has permission to operate and is fully functional under net metering 1.0, they are grandfathered in. So there's kind of a little bit of a race right now that everybody's going after to try to get as many systems installed for their customers as they possibly can before the end of the year. Due to the net metering 1.0 and the pretty significant advantages under that program versus net metering 2.0. But commercial, agricultural, they're not affected as heavily as the residential side is. So the residential market particularly really has a lot of activity and a lot of interest going on right now. And so our reps are working hard, our energy advisors, to connect with customers, help answer their questions, help them understand what they should be considering through that decision-making process as they work with contractors. And, let's see, the date right now, we're July 31st. I mean, we are very, very close to being booked out through the end of the year on our residential install capacity. And once we get to that point, we'll have to tell customers we would love to work with you, but we're not going to be able to get you installed before the end of 2024. You would be a 2025 installation. And then we have to look at the modeling and the financials totally different at that point, because that net metering will impact the ROI for that customer. In addition to our residential solar installations, we've got some really exciting commercial installs that are underway. One of which we're really proud of, and we just wrapped up, and that is Rockford University. We installed right around a megawatt project out there for them. It's a solar edge system with longy panels, and it was just a really great project. We installed on a number of the different dorms, I think 8 or 9 of them. And then we did a pretty sizable install on the Seaver building, which is kind of the gymnasium at Rockford University. And this is going to get them, I want to say somewhere around 30% or so of their energy offset. And this is kind of their phase 1 of going into green energy and in renewable energy projects that are on their mind. And so it was a real honor and an exciting project for us to work out there, and we've just got that completed. They've got their permission to operate, and they're up and running. And again, being a solar edge system, you have a unique opportunity, unlike some of the basic string inverters, where you can actually track the panel performance there. You can see what power is being used by the facilities, but then you can also see the power that's being produced from the solar and how that's impacting energy costs for them, and where that power is going, whether it's going into the grid for net metering or if it's going straight to the facility to help offset their usage. We've got some other really unique projects too. A little bit smaller one, which is actually a nonprofit, L'Arche, and that's out in Oak Park. And this is a nonprofit facility. It's a new construction, and we've been working very closely with them for many, many months here to get to this point where we're installing this project. What's cool about nonprofits and churches obviously would be in this category is through the Inflation Reduction Act, there was a modification to the tax credit, which says direct pay is now in play for nonprofits. Historically, a nonprofit, when they would purchase solar and generate that 30% tax credit, they couldn't do anything with it. They were kind of out of luck because they don't have the tax liability, like I've explained previously, to use that tax credit to offset it and essentially monetize it. And so nonprofits weren't able to go solar in the same way and make as much financial sense of it that other companies and organizations could. And now with this direct pay, nonprofits are actually able to generate that 30% or 40%, I think even up to 60% tax credit based on a number of criteria. And whatever that tax credit amount ends up being, they can submit for the direct pay option, and they will actually receive a check from the government for that tax credit that they generated by going solar. And so that really opened the door and created a really great opportunity and kind of leveled the playing field, so to speak, for all types of different organizations and customers to be able to look at exploring solar. So we're really excited to be working with those guys over there. And we've got a number of other churches that are coming up. The churches that we've been working with, Our Savior's Lutheran comes to mind. We did a phase 1 install for them last year. I want to say right around 100 kilowatts is what we installed out there. And it's been a great system with Solar Edge as well. And then this year we're moving into a phase 2 install for them. I think they plan to do 3 phases total. They had to do some re-roofing on one of the roofs, so we just focused on the gymnasium, which was a metal corrugated roof. So we got that phase 1 on there. And then later this year, we'll be hitting that phase 2, which I believe will be a ballasted system. I think it's a TPO roof out there that we're going to be doing for them. But, It's really nice to see when a customer comes back around for a phase two or an expansion on their system. That was always the plan in their case, but it really, kind of speaks to the success that was had with that project. They've been able to live with it for a year now, kind of experience it, understand how it works, start to recoup some of their costs through the different incentives and rebates. They were actually able to get I think it was the low income community bonus adder for their federal tax credit. And so they went from 30% to 40% for their tax credit. And then again, direct pay. And so they will receive a check for 40% of the cost of that system, in addition to the SRECs that they'll get from that system, which are going to cover a significant portion. I believe their net, kind of looking at it as a percentage of the cost of the total cost of the system, they're like 90% covered through incentives and rebates on that project. Just kind of off the top of my head, it's a significant amount. And so it's really a no-brainer when you look at it that way. And then you start to factor in, obviously, the utility savings that you'll experience over the course of time. It's a positive cash flow, and it'll make a big improvement on, I would imagine, their financials or other organizations' financials to be able to save thousands of dollars every month over month for 25 years that you would otherwise be paying out. But you've invested in your own kind of little power plant that's on your facility. Now you have the control on that. You avoid increasing utility costs and inflation and a number of different things that come from that benefit that organization financially. And then you also just have kind of the PR and the environmental impacts to say, hey, we are trying to do the right thing for our environment. We're trying to be sustainable. We're seeing, what's happening in the world, and we're trying to make a positive change. So, when I see these churches and organizations that are considering going solar, I just have a lot of respect for, their forward thinking and consideration, not only from the financial side, but also from the environmental side. And outside of these commercial projects and nonprofits, we've also got a number of residential projects that we're doing. And I'm thinking back to last week, actually, we were installing a system where we did a Franklin battery on this system. I believe it was a Solar Edge inverter on the PV side. And then we did a Franklin battery on the storage side. And again, if you've heard me talk, I'm sure you've heard me say this, that big fan of storage. I think that is the way to go. There's a lot of additional upside, resiliency being probably the primary driver that I'm interested in, to have the ability to have power, have critical loads up and running during the event of an outage. That you and your family are going to have the lights on, the refrigerators running, and I think that's a big deal. Obviously, generators are another option, which we've installed several generators. We've installed generators with backup batteries with solar, and so you can really get pretty deep on that. I think of a customer that we did up north where the gentleman had 6 or 7 Solar Edge 10 kilowatt hour batteries, so let's say 70 kilowatt hours of storage, and then he also had, as another layer of protection, he had the propane generator that was installed. And so he was, ready for any number of events to be totally off grid in his situation. Outside of our solar, when I kind of start to look over back to the mechanical side, so I've talked about our weatherization, some of the cool things happening there, talked about solar, some of the projects that we're working on and what these customers are experiencing. I want to talk a little bit about the mechanical side. Again, this is our newest division, and it's been incredible, the amount of value that we've been able to add to our customers through the mechanical division. And I think back to the last couple weeks, we've actually been installing a heat pump systems on some multifamily projects, and it's actually 24 of them. So they're ductless mini splits, they're Mitsubishis, and through a ComEd funded energy program, these folks are able to get these heat pumps installed at no cost, and it benefits both the property owner and the tenants. Obviously, the property owner appreciates the increased value of their property, but then also the tenants have the reduction on their utility costs and operating costs for their homes. And so it's really a win-win. And, with this program, this is their second round of projects where we've gone through and done 24 systems. We've really been excited to be a part of it. So with the new HVAC division, we've experienced several different things, and we're a part of a number of programs. Talked a little bit about the multifamily heat pump program. Again, that's a great opportunity, really exciting to be a part of that program. But through our energy retrofit program that I spoke about as earlier, they also have, where they lean into some mechanical upgrades under certain circumstances where there's a negative health and safety impact. And what I was just doing here was scrolling to pull up in our Slack here a message from one of our HVAC technicians that worked on a furnace and AC upgrade, I believe, for a customer that went through the energy retrofit program. They were income eligible. They were an elderly couple. And this message kind of sticks out in my mind because it was just a really, really kind of hit the heartstrings for all of us at Greenlink to say, wow, we're really doing something good here. It's not just about, running a business and trying to keep all the money flowing. We're also touching people's lives here. And so I'm going to read this post from our HVAC tech because I thought it really, really outlined, the value of this for folks. So he says, hello, everyone. I want to share with you all an experience that happened today. Nick and I were replacing an air conditioner for the Flynn's. They were a retrofit customer who we replaced a furnace for recently. They called because they were having a problem with their air conditioner. With the help of Barb, we were able to get their air conditioner covered through the energy retrofit program at no cost to them. While we were cleaning up, Mr. Flynn pulled me aside, and with tears in his eyes and a tremor in his voice, that Marine shook my hand like it was the last he would ever shake and thanked me for helping make this possible and for all the hard work our team put into making his home a more energy efficient and comfortable place to live. Things like this make me proud to put on this uniform every day and be a part of this incredible Greenlink family. And so although it wasn't, Greenlink didn't fund that, and we're not the program, or the money people behind this. Again, this is the utility company. This is a utility funded program. We're just the contractor, and we're fortunate enough to be a participating contractor in 2024. We hope to be a participating contractor in many years to come. But, it's just a real honor for us to be a part of that and hearing about the impacts that we're able to make on people's lives. And that's just one story of so many that we hear through these programs. It makes a big difference for folks that might not otherwise have the money. And in this case, I believe these people, had spoke to Jaron earlier and said, they were just running a window unit in that house. Their AC had been out for a long time and they didn't have the money to replace it. And so for them to be able to get this upgrade on their home, at no cost, again, just a tremendous opportunity and experience for us to be a part of to serve that customer. And so, when I think about everything that we're doing here and kind of this holistic approach, we have, yes, our retail side, and there's lots of customers that we serve that, they have the money and they have, the means to be able to hire us to do these different projects for them. But there's a significant part of the work that we do that is solely program driven. And through these programs, we're really able to connect a lot of people to these organizations to help incentivize and fully fund these energy upgrades for their homes. Again, health and safety being a big one. When I think about the Flynn's in this particular project, I mean, it's 90 something degrees outside back when this message was sent. It was on July 4th, in fact, at 4:45 p.m. on July 4th is when this message was sent, because Jaron was out there getting this AC installed. We didn't get it done the day before. And so Jaron said, what, I'll come in. I want to get these people's air conditioner up and running. I know it's hot outside, and so I'm going to do this. And so he volunteered to make that happen. And, again, just a real blessing for them and for us. But otherwise, they would have been sitting in there in this 95, 100-degree house with no air conditioning. It's just not a good thing. If you have interest in learning more, again, no matter where you're coming from, if you're a tenant in a multifamily building, if you're a property owner and you own multifamily buildings, if you own a business and have a commercial building that you own, a commercial building that you lease, a homeowner, whatever the case is, we'd love to talk to you if you have any interest in any of these services. And one of the value propositions that we try to bring to our customers is that we want to help facilitate and connect the dots, liaison in a way, if you will, to the most beneficial program and see if you qualify for it. Again, we don't have any control over that. So I want to be very clear. Greenlink is not ComEd. We're not NICOR. That's their deal. But again, as a participating contractor, we're aware of some of these programs, and we want to help steer people towards the right direction to see what's going to make the most sense for them. So if you have interest, again, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to have a conversation. You can call us. You can email us. Our number is 779-774-3378. We'd be happy to have a conversation with you. Thanks for listening today. We'll look forward to catching you on the next one.